everybody, it's JT Sports Match, you guys, with another video. This video I'm here with players the New York Giants should target and NFL free agency. Now, NFL free agency is just a couple of days away, and I'm going to be talking about players the Giants need to go after or look to target in free agency. So the Giants have a lot of cap space to work with. I think they are 7th in the NFL and total cap space available. So they got a lot of money to spend in free agency. And some of their needs, they need to improve the offensive line, even though the offensive line is getting a lot better. Specifically, I think they should look to try to get 2 starting caliber offensive tackles. Maybe you try to get both of them, both in NFL free agency, or maybe you pick a good one up in free agency and then pick up another offensive tackle in the NFL draft. Then they also need a linebacker or 2. Maybe they pick one up in free agency, or maybe they just pass on linebacker in free agency and just hope that Isaiah Simmons falls to them. So it's a lot of ways that they can end up improving their team, but specifically I think they need to work on the offensive line and edge rusher as well. I think the New York Giants have been lacking a dominant one-on-one pass rusher since the last time they won the Super Bowl. That's when they had Justin Tuck and JPP, Justin Pierre-Paul. And they also could use another wide receiver too. I especially think they could use another wide receiver. They have a pretty okay group. Sterling Shepard is a pretty good slot receiver. So, they also got Golden Tate as well. So, their receiving core isn't bad, but they could still use another wide receiver that can go ahead and complement both of those 2 guys. So, before I get into it, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel because I upload NFL videos, XFL videos, and college football videos daily. So, the first player that I think the Giants need to go after is edge rusher Jadeveon Clowney. Now, it's been a lot of reports and a lot of rumors connecting Jadeveon Clowney to the New York Giants. Back in 2019 with the Seattle Seahawks, he had 21 tackles, 3 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. Now, a lot of people might look at Jadeveon Clowney, look at his stats, and be like, oh, he's not worth being the top edge rusher and NFL free agency. And a lot of Giants fans are probably going to be like, oh, we don't need to get Jadeveon Clowney, something like that. He's going to be asking too much. Let me tell you something. Stats do not determine how good a player is or show the impact a player had. When Jadeveon Clowney was fully healthy with the Seattle Seahawks, he was all over the field. Now, last season with Seattle, he battled a lot of injuries, and that's one thing that people have when it comes to Jadeveon Clowney is the injury concern. But when Jadeveon Clowney is fully healthy, this guy is a monster. And even when Jadeveon Clowney isn't healthy, go back and watch that Philadelphia Eagles game when the Philadelphia Eagles were taking on the Seattle Seahawks in the wild card game last season. Jadeveon Clowney was all over the field. His imprint on that wild card game was felt. He was everywhere on the field. So just because a player doesn't necessarily have off the number stats and things like that doesn't mean that he's not having an impact. Because when Jadeveon Clowney was on the field, it doesn't matter if he wasn't fully healthy or if he was fully healthy, he had a big impact on that Seattle Seahawks defense. So I think the New York Giants, if they have the money available and they want to go out and try to get an elite dominant pass rusher, I think they should look at Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney, one thing that I really love about Jadeveon Clowney is that he's just not a great pass rusher. He is an all-around great player on the defensive side of the ball. Not only can he get after the pass, but he can change games as well. Look at how many fumbles he forced last year. He forced 4 forced fumbles. So, this guy is a game record. This guy can change the outcome of a game if he's fully healthy, or even if he isn't fully healthy. Even if he's 70%, he's still a really doggone good player on the defensive side of the ball. The next player that I think the New York Giants should look to go after is wide receiver Robbie Anderson. Now, he basically would be changing jerseys, wouldn't really be changing cities. So, in 2019, Robbie Anderson had 52 receptions, 779 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, believe it or not, Robbie Anderson probably could have had 1,000 yards this year. He probably could have been a Pro Bowler, but with Sam Darnold getting injured, the quarterback position for the New York Jets was absolutely terrible. They could barely move the ball down the field. So, if Robbie Anderson was to go to New York, I think that would be a really good upgrade because you got Sterling Shepard and you got Golden Tate. Both of those guys really good receivers. Both of those guys can work the intermediate routes and things like that. And then you have a guy like Robbie Anderson who is a wide receiver that can take the top off the defense. He's one of the best deep threats that we have in the NFL right now, and he's in his prime. He reminds me a lot of prime time Deshaun Jackson with his speed and his ability to take the top off the defense. So I think the New York Giants should look to try to get Robbie Anderson because Daniel Jones has a really good deep ball. A lot of people aren't really talking about that, but Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes is what they call him, throws a really nice deep ball. So giving him a good elite deep threat on the outside like a Robbie Anderson, I think could really help him in his development. So I think Robbie Anderson probably will demand a pretty large salary, but I think it would be well earned and well deserved because the New York Giants could use another wide receiver who could actually stretch the field as well. Now also they do have Darius Slayton as well, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. But I do think that Robbie Anderson would be a big upgrade to the New York Giants wide receiving core if they're able to pick him up. Now back to the defense side of the ball. If the New York Giants aren't able to get Jadeveon Clowney and don't feel comfortable and they want to allocate their money elsewhere or spread the money out more, I think they should look to go after edge rusher Robert Quinn. Now, Robert Quinn is on his older years. Basically, he's not as young as Jadeveon Clowney. He's like 30 years old, but he's still a very productive pass rusher. With the Dallas Cowboys, he had 26 tackles, 11.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. So, I mean, Robert Quinn is still a guy who can get the job done. Now, I don't think that Robert Quinn is going to give the New York Giants a lot of double-digit sack seasons, considering the fact that he's 30 years old, but I still think that he's good enough for 8 or 9 sacks. So, I think Robert Quinn, the market for him is going to be pretty high, but it's not going to be as high as it is for a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, simply for the fact that Robert Quinn is a little bit much older in age, but you can still get very good 4 to 5 years out of Robert Quinn considering his age and the production that he's going to give you. So I think that Robert Quinn is good enough to still give you around 8-9 sacks per season. And I think the New York Giants, he would be a very good fit and a very good pickup because, like I said, they need another dominant one-on-one pass rusher. So I think Robert Quinn would be able to give them that. And I mean, him on the opposite side of O'Shane Zines, I think that's another guy who a lot of people aren't really talking about on the defensive side of the ball for the New York Giants. O'Shane Zines, man, I mean, didn't really hear a lot from him his rookie season, but I think he's a guy who's going to have a big breakout season for the New York Giants when next season begins, man, if he's able to get on the field and get some more snaps. So edge rusher Robert Quinn would be a really good pickup for the New York Giants. He is 30 years old, so he is a little bit older, but I still think that you can get a couple of good productive seasons out of Robert Quinn. The next player that I think the New York Giants should look to target in free agency is wide receiver Rashard Higgins. Now, Rashard Higgins, for some odd reason, in 2019 only had 55 receiving yards, 4 receptions, and 1 touchdown. Now, I don't know if he got injured or whatever happened, but Rashard Higgins will be another good piece for the New York Giants if they aren't able to get a guy like Robbie Anderson. I think Rashard Higgins is a very good deep threat as well, and also he's a guy who can work the intermediate routes as well. So I think Rashard Higgins, it's a lot of upside with Rashard Higgins. I think he has a lot of potential. We didn't really get to see that potential unlocked with the Cleveland Browns, but I think with the New York Giants, with Daniel Jones, that young team that they have around them, with the other wide receivers that they have to complement Rashard Higgins, I think Rashard Higgins could be a really good pickup. And the good thing about Rashard Higgins is that the market for Rashard Higgins isn't high. It's a little bit in between since he's so young and has a lot of potential. But I think the New York Giants, I could see them realistically going after a wide receiver like Rashard Higgins. He's young. He has a lot of upside, a lot of potential. I think he's really good. He could end up becoming the #1 wide receiver for the New York Giants when it's all said and done, because I really like what Rashard Higgins brings to the table. I mean, he's a good deep threat as well, but he also has pretty good hands. He could be a very good safety blanket for Daniel Jones. So I really like the addition of Rashard Higgins if the New York Giants were able to make it happen. I actually think he would end up being a realistic free agent target for the New York Giants if they want to go that route. Now, back to the offensive side of the football, still with the offensive tackle position. I think they should look to go after Jack Conklin. Now, Jack Conklin is going to demand a huge salary. He's probably the best offensive tackle that we have hitting free agency right now because he's very young, and he's also a very good run blocker as well. What the New York Giants are, they are a power run football team. They like to beat you by running the football up the gut, up the middle with Saquon Barkley. And with Jack Conklin, you're going to give Saquon Barkley one of the best run block, probably the best run blocking offensive tackles that we have in the NFL right now. And with Saquon Barkley, that would also help him out as well. And the New York Giants offensive line wasn't really that bad. A big reason why the New York Giants weren't able to get Saquon going this past season like they were his rookie season was because the offensive line did suffer a lot of injuries, specifically in the interior. They had like a couple of different combinations, a couple of different starters that they were working on the interior side of the football when it came to the offensive line, like the guard positions and things like that. So if they're able to stay healthy and they get Jack Conklin, I think that that run game for the New York Giants could end up being really good, probably the best in the NFL. And the last guy that I think the New York Giants should look to target in free agency is edge rusher Bud Dupree. Now, Bud Dupree, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I know a lot about Bud Dupree. He has 68 tackles, 11.5 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. Now, basically, a big reason why I think Bud Dupree is one of the most interesting free agents because I think he's boom or bust. Now, he's basically going to get a huge contract based on the season that he had in 2019. Now, Bud Dupree is really good stopping the run. He's also very good when it comes to the pass rushing, but besides from 2019, Bud Dupree was only like a 6-sack guy. So really the question is, since Bud Dupree is going to demand a pretty large salary, the question is what will you get out of Bud Dupree? Because if you're going to make Bud Dupree like a $10 to $12 million yearly annual man, and you're paying him that kind of money yearly, I'm expecting Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald type numbers. And the question is, can Bud Dupree have that kind of impact? Because, I mean, he's going to end up being one of the highest paid at his position, whoever he signs with free agency. If the Giants pay him that money, he's going to have to be able to step up and be a good all-around player. Not only just good stopping the run, but good getting after passer as well. So I think Bud Dupree, he could be a boom or bust, but I think he would be really good with the New York Giants. I mean, he's like a discount version of Jadeveon Clowney, in my opinion. He's an all-around guy. The question is, what kind of production are you going to have out of him? You don't know if he's going to be a consistent double-digit sack guy, but he is good for at least 6 or 7 sacks a year. But the question is, will the New York Giants be willing to pay him that money? But I think he would be a really good fit there. I know I sound a little bit of contradictory right there, but I think Bud Dupree would be a pretty good addition for the New York Giants, depending on what they'll be able to pay him. So this is it for players I believe the New York Giants should look to target in free agency. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thanks for watching.